Good morning, everyone. Last time we have studied some formulas regarding wave speed, and we have seen how it depends on the medium. Okay, so let's continue with that to revise whatever we have learned so far very quickly. It is that if you have got a transverse wave on string, transverse wave on string. What is the formula of wave speed for a transverse wave on string? So I was asking you what's the formula of wave speed on a transverse wave on a string. So it is V equal to under root T by mu. T is tension in the string and mu is the linear mass density of the string. Okay. The next we have learned is speed of longitudinal waves. Speed of longitudinal waves in any medium. Okay, for longitudinal waves. What is the general formula for longitudinal waves? Under root d by rho. Okay, so basically we tend to use this. We tend to use this for media or medium that has volume. Okay, typically any medium has volume, but there are some exceptions. Okay, I'll talk about that later as well. So this is what we have in general, right? Then we talked about Newton's formula. Newton's formula is again a formula for speed of sound, specifically the speed of sound in air or in any other gas. So what is Newton's formula? Speed of sound is V equal to, what is Newton's formula, everyone? Yes, it is square root of P by rho 0 or rho density actually. I can just do that. Under root P by rho. Okay, but there is another thing. Although this is a very good simple formula, but frankly you are going to find that this is difficult to use. I suggest that everyone remembers the other one. What is that other one? The converted form in form of temperature. Using temperature. It is under root RT by M0, right? M0 for molar mass. Okay? So this is what we have been doing so far, right? Again, to revise this basic, it's that Newton considered that when sound passes through air, the expansion and compression that occurs is isothermal. Right? That was Newton's assumption or Newton's idea. Based on that, we can derive this. Right? So this is called Newton's formula. Okay. But like I said, there is some error in it. So we are now going to talk about the correction made by Laplace. Okay. So Laplace correction. See, there are so many formulas of speed of wave. So you have to be careful. If you do not remember the title, you are going to use one where you are supposed to use the other. So be careful. Well, Laplace correction. So Laplace considered that the expansion and the compression that occurs when sound passes through air is not isothermal. He considered that it should be adiabatic. Okay, so according to Laplace, the expansion and compression of air when sound passes, air or gas, okay, any gas actually, not just air, right? Expansion and compression of gas when sound passes is adiabatic, right? Hopefully everyone remembers what is adiabatic, right? So he considers it to be an adiabatic process. Now under this circumstances, things will change. So let's start. So again, to recall, the speed of a longitudinal wave in such a medium can be written like this. So now we are going to find out b again, just like we did it in this derivation. Hopefully you remember how we derived it. Okay, if you have a look at it, you would have seen that we got b equal to p for isothermal process, right? That's why we get p over there. Just like that, for adiabatic process, is p equal to p or is it something else? That's what we are going to find out. Okay, so let's start. We will start as usual with the ideal gas equation, PV equals nRT, and for adiabatic process on an ideal gas, we have a relation. Do you remember that relation of pressure and volume for adiabatic process on a gas? Come on, thermodynamics question, hurry up. Do you remember? What is the formula for adiabatic process? That relates pressure and volume. What is the formula for adiabatic process that relates pressure and volume? Raj, correct? Priyansh, not right. Ayushi, not right. That's not what we are looking for. Yes, Vishwa, that's correct. Others, come on. You forgot this that easily? PV raised to gamma is equal to constant. Do you remember that? PV raised to gamma equal to constant. So let's say some constant, suppose capital Z. Because we have to write something, only then it will make sense. So from this, I'm going to start doing differentiation, because listen to this carefully. V, bulk modulus, is minus V dP by dV. Okay, so minus V. Instead of dP by dV, we will write differentiation. Okay, so what differentiation we get? So P is equal to C V raised to minus gamma. So differentiation of P, I repeat, differentiation of P will give me C minus gamma V raised to minus gamma minus 1. I hope that is absolutely clear. Right? Differentiation of this with respect to V. Just use the formula for x raised to n. Okay? C is a constant. So minus plus C V gamma. Now this is V raised to minus gamma minus 1, and this is power 1. Okay, so V raised to 1, V raised to minus gamma minus 1, so this becomes V raised to minus gamma. Clear, everyone? Let me repeat the whole thing. C constant, minus plus, okay, gamma multiplied, V raised to 1, V raised to minus gamma minus 1. Add the powers, so V raised to minus gamma. 1 cancel. So this is what we get. But CV raised to minus gamma is pressure. So that's why I can write that in adiabatic process on a gas, we have bulk modulus as what? Gamma P, not just P. Gamma P. Clear? Clear or not clear? Bulk modulus is not P, it is gamma P. Again, this is P. This bracket is P. So gamma into P. Okay? So let's put it there in the standard formula of longitudinal waves. So you could write there for speed of sound, which is actually longitudinal wave in a gas, is V equal to under root B by rho. B by rho. But instead of B, I am writing gamma P. Understood this step, everyone? Instead of B, I am writing gamma P. Clear? Clear or not clear? Raise your hand so I know. Okay, so now we have got this, right? So we are going to simplify this further. P by gamma, earlier in the case of isothermal assumption in Newton's formula, instead of P by gamma we got RT by M0. So there is no point repeating the procedure, I can write it directly. So this will become gamma as it is. Instead of P by rho, it will become RT by M0. Clear? Instead of P by rho, RT by M0. Understood? Okay, so this is the formula for speed of sound. Okay, this is the formula for speed of sound. Now you know this one also corrects. This one also corrects for that small error which we have in Newton's formula. Again, if you compare this with Newton's formula, that's the only difference. So that is gamma is multiplied. Okay, gamma is multiplied. So that makes the formula correct. Okay, now this is actually the true formula or the correct formula because it matches so consistently, so nicely with the experimentally measured speed of sound. Right? Okay, so this is what we have for speed of sound. So you'd always have to be careful. Sometimes questions, especially in the book, in the textbook, say estimate speed of sound. Generally when I've seen that in this textbook, when they say estimate speed of sound, what they mean is use Newton's formula. Okay, I understand that is horrible. It shouldn't have been that way. Right? Okay, when they say estimate the speed of sound, they use Newton's formula. Although we know that it's not correct, this is a better version of it. Right? This is the more appropriate formula. So remember what I told you over here, but also remember that this is the correct formula, not Newton's formula. Right? This has got error in it. Well. So that was Laplace's correction. Again, like I said, it's called correction because Laplace made a change to this one, right? Instead of considering it isothermal like Newton, he corrected it and he said, okay, no, it should be adiabatic. So that way we get to the right formula. So that's it for speed of sound. Okay, that is it for speed of sound. Now let's solve a question or two. Okay, everyone, let's solve a question or two. So we're going over to question number, the example 3 from the textbook. Everyone, example 3 from the textbook. Okay, very straightforward question. A steel wire 0.72 meter long has a mass. So let's say there is a steel wire. Okay, how much is the mass? 5.0 into 10 raised to minus 3 kg. That's the mass of this wire. How much is the length of this wire? 0.72 meter. Okay. If the wire is under a tension, okay, so by probably putting a pulley here and by hanging some weight, okay, we can create a tension. Hopefully you remember the basic, right? So there is a tension. How much tension? 60 Newton. In this wire, there is a tension of 60 Newton. And then it says, what is the speed of transverse wave on string? That is on this wire, actually the wire, not the string. On this wire, if we set up transverse wave, what is meaning of transverse wave? This wire is horizontal, so if you plug it vertical, what do I mean? Like a guitar string, like this. Okay, so then all the particles will oscillate along y-axis, right? When the wave arrives, but the wave will travel from this end to that end. Did you understand? So wave propagation horizontal and particles motion vertical. So transverse wave. Okay, so transverse wave, and we have to find speed. What is the formula of speed for transverse wave on a string? Wire or string? Same thing. It will be under root E by mu. Okay? Alright? So, now, let's see which values we have. We have T, tension 60 Newton. Okay. But what about mu? Mu stands for mass per unit length. Generally, if nothing is given, we can assume that this is uniform. So, mu should be equal to m by L. Is this clear? Is this clear or not clear, everyone? Mu equal to m by L. Okay, I see the screen has frozen. Okay. Yeah, I know. Fine. It seems like it's okay now. So I was saying mu is m by L. We're going to put it here. So 5 into 10 raised to minus 3 divided by L. So denominator are going to be the numerator. So into 0.2. Again, this is m by L. Okay. You just have to simplify this out. Okay, be careful with the square root. When you take the square root, the power of 10 cannot be odd. This is odd. That's not okay. So, what you can do is, you can write this as 6 into 0.72 upon 5. Where it's the 0, that 0 I will combine with 10 raised to 3, so it will become 10 raised to 4. Now, power of 10 is even, you can easily take square root of the rest. Okay? Come on. Get the answer. All right. Fine. Right. So let's try a slightly different idea, okay, related to the same one. Okay, suppose there is a heavy rope. Suppose there is a heavy uniform rope. Okay, so like a thick rope. I'm sure you would have seen these kind of ropes. Okay, a heavy uniform rope hangs vertically from the ceiling. Okay, a mass m is attached at its lowest point. Okay, mass m is attached at its lowest point. If a transverse wave is set up near the bottom of wave, bottom of rope, it starts to travel upward. Okay. So if Vm and VL are speed of this wave at midpoint and lowest point of rho. Find. Okay, so then which option is correct? Okay, very simple question. All this is for you to start with your imagination, right? Right. Draw a diagram. Come on, everyone. The question is written nicely so that you can imagine what is going on. Okay, draw a diagram and that would make it easy. Done. Tension will be shown in string without mass. What does that mean? I am getting only one answer out of so many students. Come on, everyone. String has negligible mass. Read the question carefully. Okay. So what's given here is that, let's say this is a ceiling and this is that row. Okay, now this time it's a heavy uniform row. So that means it is not light or not massless. Perfect. Clear? And from the bottom of it something is hanging. Alright. So here is the midpoint of the row and this is the lowest point of the row. So now you have to compare that when a wave is set up, right? Let's say someone here takes a stick and pushes it like this, okay? Just a little bit. So that will create a wave like this. Do you understand? If you push that string like this, okay, with a stick or any other object, then that wave will travel along the string or the medium, okay, it will go up. So the question is, as it goes up, right, from here it will reach M obviously. So we have to compare the speed Vm and Vl, okay, right? So you think about it, on a rope or a string, the speed depends on what? In heavy string, tension can't be predicted. Are you sure? That's what you have to use your knowledge so far to predict it, right? In a heavy string. Okay, have a look here. Have a look here. Let's find out tension at the lowest point. Okay, let's find out tension at the lowest point over here. So to find tension, what should you do? To find tension, what should you do? Everyone, to find tension, what should you do? FBD, very good. So no answers just like that, okay? So this we draw FBD here from this point. Take this as system because that way it becomes very easy. So if you take that as system, here is that mass M, this will be mg, and this will be the tension at the lowest point. Agreed? Because you are taking this as system. So clearly this will just hang like this. So TL is equal to mg. Understood or not? TL equal to mg. Yes or no? Okay. Now let's go to this point. Okay, let's go to M. So if you want to find tension at M, you can do it exactly. There's no problem with that. You can get an exact equation. But let's keep it for later. First of all, let's make equation. Do you realize that below this point, more mass is hanging because this part of rope also will have some mass? Yes or no? Below this point, there is some more mass. Yes or no? So do you realize that tension at M will definitely be greater than mg or just TL? Who understood this? Because from the point M, more mass is hanging. Clear or not clear? Clear or not clear? Very good. So many of you got it. Well done. So if Tm is greater than TL, then it's a uniform rope. Heavy, agreed, but uniform. Uniform rope means mu is same everywhere. Right? Mu is same everywhere. So what do you think? Which option is the correct answer now? Which option is the correct answer? C. Very good. Right? C is the correct answer. Because Tm is greater than TL and V is equal to under root T by mu. Right? So V is proportional to root of T. Tension mode, speed of wave mode. In fact, as this goes up, as the wave pulse travels up, do you realize that its speed will increase? As the wave pulse travels upwards, the speed will increase. Yes or no? Okay, that's because tension is increasing. Right? Yeah. Now for the question of how much is Tm exactly, suppose you want to find it. No problem. Draw a FBD of this part. Okay, all of that. So then you have half of the rope here and you have mass M. So how much is the total mass? M plus. Suppose mass of rope is capital M divided by 2. Did you understand why M plus capital M by 2? Did you understand why small m plus capital M by 2? Okay? And here will be tension at the midpoint. Okay? And this is the downward force on all of these, gravitational force. So these two will be equal. That can give you T at the midpoint is small m plus capital M by 2 into G. So this way you can find it exactly. Alright? Okay? So the correct answer is C. Well, let's go to the next thing. Half of the rope has mass capital M by 2. Entire rope suppose has mass capital M. So half of rope has mass M by 2. Right? I don't think there is anything troublesome. Okay. Right. Fine. Now, before moving forward to more questions, let me show you that animation which I was talking. Okay? Just give me a minute. right. Can you see my screen? Okay, very good. So now what we have here is a wave generator. Okay, and this thing that you see, it's like representing particles of the string. Remember, in any medium like a solid, typically you can consider that particles are attached to each other by spring like behavior. Correct? Do you remember that idea from properties of solids chapter? Right? Okay, so that's what we are doing. Alright? So now if you would consider that this rod here is going to drive the source. So this is source. Alright, this is the source. Okay, so now if the rod will start moving in vertical direction, it will generate a transverse wave. Okay, it will generate a transverse wave. Right now, listen to this carefully. Right now what we have is spring constant is 0.1. Okay, I'm writing that on the board here. I don't know whether you can see the board or not. Okay, I've written that in the first case spring constant is 0.1 Newton per meter. So whatever is the elongation, there will be some force according. Then second time when we will do it, what we'll do is we will increase the spring constant. You get what I am saying? Let's say we will make it 0.5 Newton per meter. Understood? Okay, first time 0.1, second time 0.5. Okay, everyone, that's clear? Alright, just give me one moment. I'll have to copy this one out so that we can see both of them simultaneously. Right? Okay. Only if practicals were so easy. Isn't it? Yeah, so now it looks like they are aligned. So what I do is, in the first one we still have k equal to 0.1, and over here in the second one I'm going to take all the springs, right, and I'm going to change their spring constant from 0.1 to 0.5. Okay, so what happens because of that? Obviously, if spring constant will increase, then the force applied by the spring will also be more. Correct or not? If spring constant is more, then the force applied will also be more. That means this will have an effect. This will have an effect like increasing the tension, right, in the spring. You understood that? If K is more, tension is more. Yes or no? If K is more, tension is more. Okay, so let's see what happens when waves are generated simultaneously. Okay, you see which wave travels fast. All right. Okay, which wave is leading the race? First one or second one? Which wave is leading the race? Second one, exactly. Right? That is because of what I have changed. Right? What happens is that when the forces between the two molecules are very strong, right? So they will transfer that energy quickly, right? Because hopefully you remember that more force means more transfer of energy, right? So obviously force means doing work, right? Whenever there is a force, particles do work on the other one. So that's why energy is transferred fast. So that way the energy will go quickly, right, to that point. So that's why we are seeing that by increasing tension only, we have changed wave speed. Is this clear? First of all, by increasing tension we have increased wave speed. Clear or not clear? But there is a side effect. By looking at the paused animation, can you tell me what is the side effect I am talking about? Look at the paused animation carefully. Do you see some other thing that has happened? Joy, that is your illusion. Look at it carefully. That has not changed. Source has changed. Source તો ઈ જ છે યાર. Source ને આપણે ક્યાં કઈ કર્યું છે? People, so many of you, I don't understand why you are falling into this illusion. So many of you are saying that amplitude has decreased. That is not true. Look at both the pictures carefully. Amplitude has not changed. Amplitude is still the same. It's just that the shape is a little bit flatter. That's why it looks like that. Truly speaking, wavelength has changed. Wavelength has changed. Right? Look at the wavelength. Why has wavelength changed? Look here on the board, everyone on the board. Why has wavelength changed? Simple idea. If you remember, I told you that V decided by medium, F decided by source. Clear or not clear? V decided by medium, F decided by source. What about wavelength? Together they will decide. V and F together decide lambda. So lambda, of course, we have formula V equal to F lambda. So lambda is equal to V by F. So obviously, if V will increase, then lambda should also increase. Yes or no? Concept clear, everyone? If V will increase, lambda will also increase. Again, frequency no change, because frequency depends on source. Because frequency depends on source. Got it? Okay, animation helpful to understand what's going on. You know what frequency depends on? You know, for that you have a look at how this rod moves. You see, every time this rod will complete one vertical oscillation. I hope you notice. I hope you notice that this rod is doing vertical oscillation. Right? So when it will complete one vertical oscillation, one wave is generated. Have a look. See, went down, went up, and went down once again. See, one cycle is completed. Have a look. This is like one wavelength. Are you seeing that? This is like one wavelength. It's not exact because I couldn't stop it at exact time, but it's fairly close. Okay? Here also you are seeing one wavelength. Yes or no? Have a look. It's a shape that's like this. Doesn't that mean one wavelength? If you look at the board, you will get what one wavelength is once again. A shape like this, that is one wavelength. Correct? So in both the cases, time period is same. In both cases, time period is same. That is, source went up and down and then back. Right? So in the same time. So because time period is same, frequency is same. But wave speed is different. That's why wavelength is different. Okay. Let's do one more change. Okay, now everyone go back to the board. Everyone back to the board. This time I will keep K same. Okay, but I will make the particles of the string heavier. Suppose mass in one case, I don't know how much is it. Let's see. In the first case, what is the mass of each ball? Okay, only if it would allow me to select the ball. Yeah. So it says that this material has density 0.039. So let's make it 0.04. Let's keep it simple. Okay. So if the material has a density 0.04, okay. And now in the second case, first of all, I'm going to have to change the spring constant. Otherwise, all of this will be of no use. Okay. Our string got broken here. So this time I will not make it 0.04, but let's say we'll make it 0.09. Okay, let's say we make it 0.09 and there's something missing here. Okay, hopefully this will work. So this time we have the density over here as 0.09. So which material, which thing has more density? This one. Clear? So we expect that it should be slower. Here the wave should be slower. That is, wave speed will be less, and here the wave speed will be more. Right? I hope that is clear, everyone. Okay, why so? Because density is more. If density is more, then we are going to have wave speed less. So let's see what happens. Okay, it got broken. I'm so sorry. You see the disturbance. I know it's not like an exact wave, but you see the disturbance. Do you see the speed with which this is traveling? Okay, there's a bit of comedy for you here, right? But do you realize that the wave has traveled all the way till here, till this point? But in the second case, the disturbance has not reached there, somewhere only till here. Look at the vertical lines. Okay, look at the grid. That way you get an idea which wave has traveled farther, right? Okay, so back to the board now. Come on, everyone. Back to the board. Right. So we have seen the effect of density, right? Okay, it's that if density is more, the wave will travel slowly, the disturbance travels slowly. That is natural. Do you remember more mass refers to more inertia? Do you remember the concept of inertia or not? Do you remember the concept of inertia? So if the mass is more, that would mean inertia is more, and that would mean it would react or respond slowly. It will react or respond slowly. So that's why it will take time for the disturbance to travel from one particle to the other, to the next, to the next. So that's why the wave speed becomes less. Okay, so that's the role of mass or density in speed of wave, right? So that's a slight simple animation based explanation of how everything works. Again, frequency is just a property of source. Medium has nothing to do with it, right? Okay, in all this, frequency plays absolutely no role, right? Okay, fine. So that's it for today. Let's end this class here. Goodbye, everyone.